Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of my favorite pieces of media. One of the most gratifying things about this game is that you get to live like a cowboy. Anything you could do in the Wild West is present here as well. This masterpiece has it all. A deeply emotional narrative, picturesque environments, one of the best spaghetti western soundtracks of all time, a dynamic fishing experience, more things to hunt than you could shake a stick at, an amazing cast of voice actors, and state-of-the-art motion capture. All these elements helped Red Dead 2 win Game of the Year, but one person truly defines this literary masterpiece. Arthur Morgan is the peak of psychological development in gaming. Throughout this depressing journey, he realizes the times are changing. The glory days of the outlaw are coming to a close. As society begins to industrialize, these ragtag bandits are ostracized from the world. All these interactions that once gave Arthur's existence meaning now fill him with disgust and regret. He lost the love of his life, his son, everything that mattered to him. With one foot in the grave, he decides to make amends for all his wrongs, facing the direct consequences of his actions, unlike the other members of the crew. Watching our hero's metamorphosis from a bitter, selfish man to a kind and caring individual is genuinely inspiring. Arthur grows as a person because he develops the ability to empathize. So today, I wanted to do a character study on the psychology of Arthur Morgan. I'm Very Berry. If you enjoyed this video, like and share with your friends. Also, don't forget to hit that sub button and notification bell so you always see my latest content. At the beginning of the narrative, things seem clear-cut. Colm O'Driscoll, Leviticus Cornwall, and the Pinkertons are the main antagonists to the Vanderlyn gang. Dutch leads the group down a pathway of vengeance and destruction. Wanting to help our best friend, we follow his orders almost without question. Everyone is extremely loyal to Dutch, especially Arthur. This loyalty is an integral part of his character. He defines himself as being loyal to his comrades. He will stick his neck out for people he cares about, regardless of what others think. It's also important to note that at the beginning of the story, Arthur is a horrible person. He enjoys the life of the outlaw. Unconcerned with the well-being of others, he's ruthless in his pursuit of money. Choosing to live outside society, the gang starts wreaking havoc on the local population, killing, pillaging, and destroying anything in their path. One day, Arthur goes to collect a debt. After mercilessly beating a man to death for a few dollars, he contracts tuberculosis. This illness is curable now, but in the late 1800s, medicine was very limited. TB is a horrible disease that breaks down our body in an excruciating fashion. As his condition worsens, his point of view changes in a powerful way. Through his suffering, he gains perspective that was previously lost. Arthur understands, better than most, what it feels like to hurt, to wake up in pain and agony, throwing up blood, barely able to stand, wanting to give up, dealing with loss after loss. His pain humanizes him. He empathizes with those he hurt. Arthur is a great character on his own, but he truly shines because of the supporting cast. Hosea, John, Sadie, Dutch, Micah, Lenny, Trelawney, all of his friends make his decision throughout the game much harder. Most of the group blindly follows any orders their commander dishes out. Arthur's character is often caught between worlds. One half of the gang wants to follow Dutch, but others are onto his real game. Going against the wishes of a close friend is a challenge that shouldn't be undersold. This plight helps the audience empathize with the Gunslinger because this can be a common experience, having to go against the grain for what we believe is moral. Arthur is unsure what to do. While Dutch's scheming rendered pretty good results in the past, these wild ideas don't have the same je ne sais quoi they used to. Playing the game, our point of view slowly shifts alongside Arthur. We start to understand that Dutch Vanderlyn is the real threat to everyone's happiness. After returning from Guarma, Arthur is convinced he must save as many people as possible. The Gunslinger's interactions with the Native Americans demonstrate the insight he's gathered. Rainsfall leads the tribe to the north. He wants to broker peace with the colonists, but this reality isn't achievable. Destruction is the only path forward. Normally, the outlaw would be apathetic to this interaction. Who cares? Life is hard. But something unexpected happens. Arthur has an inexplicable bond to Rainsfall. He understands the world they exist in. Forced into a small corner of the earth, rather than destroy, he offers his hand out to those in need. As Arthur's disease progresses, his morals continually shift. Pain is a part of life that we all must face, but sadness can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, the anguish we feel can destroy us, completely stripping our lives of value. Although, tragedy can also change our moral framework. Arthur wakes up every day emaciated, gasping for air, while his lungs feel like they're on fire. A horrible experience to say the least. He remembers the sadness associated with losing his son in love, apprehensive about how much depression is ahead of him. Many in his position would give up, but Arthur uses his pain to gather insight. In psychology, there are generally two ways people approach problems, either using a fixed or growth mindset. Generally speaking, growth mindset focuses on the positive elements of adversity, whereas a fixed mindset views the problem as static or unchangeable. Mr. Morgan could accept his fate, come to terms that his life is destined to be miserable. But Arthur actively grows like the infection in his body. As he endures more misery, his empathy drastically increases. Rather than ditch Rain's fall, we fight hand in hand alongside his son in a glorious battle. We all know the result, but at least we tried to help. In Red Dead 2, they have an honor system that dramatically impacts the story. Being kind or cruel is an active choice that Rockstar wants us to be aware of. If we go Dr. Evil mode, the outlaw is punished heavily for his brutality. Although, leading with kindness offers a different kind of cruelty. What's really soul-crushing is seeing Arthur's realization he's an awful person. Just because we act in a good-hearted fashion doesn't mean we are always rewarded. One interaction in this game completely broke reality for me. If you play as virtuous Arthur, you come into contact with a nun at several points in the game. In a rare moment, we see our hero break down his walls. The sister has a very biased perception of us initially. She sees us practicing restraint and kindness, but she never knew the Gunslinger before his reformation. A man who'd pop a person's head like a grape without a second thought. Arthur explains how little happiness is left for him in life. All the lives he's destroyed. The cruel irony of contracting a deadly illness from collecting a meaningless debt. To make matters worse, we don't believe in anything. Sister Calderon confesses she often loses her faith in God. Although, people like Arthur restore her belief. Fearful of what comes after death, our hero cracks for a brief moment. This line made me have an out-of-body experience.
I'm afraid.
I felt like I was there witnessing life unfold before my eyes. Almost like this person was directly talking to me.
Life is full of pain, but there is also love and beauty.
This scene is so powerful because it's viscerally human. I often feel like our hero, introspective of the decisions I've made and if my life has had a meaningful impact. Creating an existential dilemma adds so much nuance to the Gunslinger psychology. We are shaped at an early age by the interactions we have. Even though much of our personalities are developed, our psychology is still malleable. The way we think and understand the world can change based on life experiences. Initially, Arthur is a man hardened by life who was saved by Dutch. His buddy is the only world he truly knows. He follows Dutch through hell and back with no questions asked. As Arthur continually puts his neck out, he realizes that things aren't what they seem. Dutch isn't out here risking his well-being, but he always seems to have a plan in mind. After going through a slew of crazy happenings, Arthur's value system changes. Loyalty doesn't mean as much to him anymore. Rather than focus on who he serves, he wants to empower those he can. So how do the events of Red Dead 2 change Arthur's psychology? Well, let's look at the dynamics at play. Dutch Vanderlyn is supposedly an egalitarian. He wants what's best for everyone. As he leads the gang into their demise, Mr. Morgan's eyes open to the truth. Imagine your best friend is actually a horrible person. Anyone would be thrown psychologically. You can see how much Arthur struggles holding two conflicting value systems. The cognitive dissonance is destroying his mind. So the Gunslinger makes one of the hardest, yet most honorable decisions. Rather than conform to the crowd and fall into despair, he takes his agency back. I think the fact he's dying helped him feel empowered to speak up. There are countless testimonies of people who receive a new perspective on life after receiving a death sentence. Being confronted with his mortality changes the Gunslinger. Arthur begins living a selfless life because he sees the value of altruism. Helping others is so good for our mental health. By giving, we shift our focus onto something besides our problems. There are some moments when Arthur seems genuinely happy he made a difference. Let's take a moment to appreciate how he acquired his empathetic nature. One thing that differentiates this man from the group is his lived experiences. Many in his crew cause harm and move on. Micah will kill and rob without a second thought. The physical distancing of themselves helps in this process. Seeing the pain that our senseless killing leads to is inconvenient to our mental health, so the gang always stays outside the areas where they hurt people. This cowboy isn't granted the same luxury. For whatever reason, he always seems to have the unfortunate luck of running into someone he's harmed. When the outlaw kills the defenseless man with TB, his family is left stranded, economically disenfranchised. The man's son has to work in the coal mines. Hosea and Dutch don't have to deal with this family. When I see this lady's pain, it's hard for me not to feel guilty as the player. This poor kid is getting harassed because we destroyed his life. Or how about when Rainfall's tribe is obliterated by the colonists? My actions alongside Dutch destroys the peaceful relationship that was there. After a tumultuous battle, he's not the one carrying Eaglefly's body back to his father. Sadness is both a powerful thing to feel, but also to see firsthand. Witnessing another person's mourning evokes meaningful feelings in us. Not to mention, the reformed outlaw demonstrates his kindness when he helps Sadie and John. Even though we feel like Arthur is immortal, he's an aged man. The gunslinger has seen countless battles, conflicts, and tragedies. Wisdom is all Arthur has. He realizes Sadie, John, and a few others aren't bad people. They just got mixed into a rough crowd through unfortunate circumstances. Using his acquired knowledge, he leads with empathy in these interactions, knowing what it feels like to be lonely, or to be the outcasted former golden boy. The gunslinger helps these two because he understands their pain. Seeing this ruthless, heinous man transform into someone kind and caring is so heartwarming. Someone who acted solely for personal gain uses his depressive life events to help those in need. At the end of the game, we can see how much our hero has changed. When he fights Micah, he explains he already won. Even if Arthur died here, he did beat Micah. But I have a different interpretation of this interaction. In the honorable ending, the outlaw is spared an agonizing death. He looks off into the sunset to appreciate the beauty of life. When Arthur is saying he won, he's really talking about his journey. For once in his miserable life, he's happy with the way things ended, proud of the person he became in those final moments. Now his spirit can finally be put to rest. Everything about Red Dead feels like a cohesive psychological work. The depressing setting, uplifting natural beauty, and empathy-driven narrative tell a poignant story. Seeing the evolution of Arthur's morals is as soul-crushing as it is inspiring. In life, the choices we make have genuine consequences. We impact everyone around us, so we should all practice conscientiousness. Empathy might seem like a weakness. Why open our hearts when we can live for ourselves? Although, Arthur shows us how much good a bad man can do when he leads with love. Rainsfall still loses everything. The man's family still struggles to survive. But the reformed gunslinger is there to help ease their pain. I think now I have a fuller idea of what the nun was talking about. Fate doesn't spawn out of thin air. Life can throw so much sadness in our direction. Incredible pain and adversity in ways we never anticipated. But seeing the kindness that humans are capable of helps us keep pushing forward. How did you like this breakdown? How did Arthur's journey impact your mental health? I'd love to hear from you.